Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're doing the Chocolate Milk Stout. Going to be changing a couple things today. Right now I got the water heating up. I'm going to be I'm not doing a protein rest, I'm doing a rest at 98 to 113 for 20 minutes. I did some research because I want to get more body in this beer, more creaminess, and better head retention. So in my recipe for this beer, I use a lot of, well actually I'll just show you real quick. This is what I'm going to be using. So I'm using flaked oats, and I'm using flaked barley, and that's 4 pounds of that right there. And then I have all my grains, which are in my container over there for the recipe. So using those, if you do a typical protein rest at 120 to 130, it's going to break up the proteins, which can cause chill haze and improve head retention. But the rest should only be used when using moderately modified malts, or when using fully modified malts within a large proportion, about 25% of unmalted grain, like flaked barley, wheat, rye, or oatmeal. So I'm using 2 out of those 3 or 4 that they mentioned right there, and so that's why, you know, when you use this in the rest, and the mash consisting mainly of fully modified malts, it's going to break up the proteins responsible for body and head retention and result in a thin, watery beer. And that's not what I want to do. I want a creamy beer. You know, it's going to be a chocolate milk stout, and I've had some that were really creamy, and I've had some that are really watery, and the creamier to me is better. That's what I like. So researching all this and seeing that I don't want to do this protein rest from 130 or 120 to 130 because it's going to make my beer thin and watery, I'm going to do a rest at 98 to 113 for 20 minutes. And in doing that, it's going to do what I want it to do. I'm going to get a thicker, creamier, and also have good head retention on it. And I'm not going to get a thin, watery beer. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the grains and everything inside the mash tun, and see you in a couple minutes. Okay, so these are going to be the additives that I'm going to be using, but as you see, the organic cocoa nibs, those are going to be used in the pretty much dry hopping. So that's going to go into the fermenter. After it's done fermenting, I'll add that, let it sit for a few days, and then, or actually more than a few days, probably like a week or so, and then take it out so it gets the flavor of the cocoa nibs. The lactose I will be adding in the last 10, and the chocolate. I'm not going to use all that chocolate, so I'll use a lot of it, but not all of it. And right here, I've never used the cocoa powder in the mash before. I'm going to do that today to see if I can get some more chocolate flavors in there. I've read that you can start with, a good idea to start is about 2 to 3 ounces in a 5-gallon batch, and that's what I'm doing today. So that's what we're shooting for, you know, a lot of chocolate, a lot of flavor. It turned out really good last time, like I said. It just was a little bit stronger. And I'm brewing this beer for my wedding. That's January 5th. So it's, you know, a little bit in a rush to make this beer, and I'm going to try to make another one. I also made the beer in my previous video was like, it's a lager. It's clearing out in the keg right now. I made it to taste like Budweiser. That's why I was saying it in the video. Didn't really explain that. That's also going to be for the wedding. So that lager and this beer is going to be in the wedding, and that's why I'm making them. So we'll get on with the brew day. I got the water up to the temperature I need for that rest, and I'm going to add the water now. I'll show you the grains. So there's the grains with the malted, with the barley and with the oats. So go ahead and get on that, and come back in a little bit when we're doing something else. See you then. Okay guys, so I went ahead and dough'd in. Doughing is when you add the water to the grains. Mixed all the grains up, made sure there was no dough balls. And dough balls are pretty much little round balls, and in the middle they're dry. You want to break them open, get them saturated with the water. If you don't saturate everything with the water, you're not going to get a good starch conversion. And you want to convert all the starches into sugars so you can get more sugar, so you can get the, you know, your right amount of sugar you need for your recipe, and then you can get the right amount of alcohol you need. So depending on whatever you're making, you know, some people make stronger styles or stronger recipes or whatever they decide to make. If you like strong beers, you'll make a strong beer, you know, a higher percentage. You know, maybe like 8% beer, you know, or you like, you know, sessionable beers, maybe like 4 or 5%. So depending on how you convert your starches and how you do your mash, will at the end will show what you're going to get. You know, you have your original gravity and your final gravity. So the more sugar you have, and the more the yeast attenuates and eats up all the sugars, you're going to get more alcohol. So that's what we're doing. 20 minutes right now, resting at, I actually went a little bit higher. I'm at 115, but that's okay. It'll go down within the 20 minutes. So they say 113 and 98. So I'll do that for 20 minutes. Go ahead and open up real quick to show you guys what's looking like. That's what it's looking like, guys. So don't let it sit too long. Let all the heat out. But anyways, I'll let that go for 20 minutes, and then, oops, then we'll go ahead and crank up the temperature, and shooting for 150, I believe, today, and we'll mash there for an hour, and then rinse all the grains and pull off all the sugary wort off from the mash tun and add it to our boil kettle, and then do our hop schedule, which is just 1 ounce of Hallertau, 60 minutes in, so beginning of the boil. So we'll see you in a few. All right, so we got the mash going for an hour. I'm going to weigh out the cocoa so I can add that, because I just started the mash and almost forgot to add it. So apologize if I move the camera too much or whatnot, trying to do 2 things at once. Alright. There's 8 ounces of cocoa powder inside this container I bought. So I'm just going to do 3 ounces. Almost there. There we go. Says what? 305. I'll take it. That's fine. And that's what we'll do. We're going to add this right now. Cocoa powder going in. There it is. So I'll just let that continue mashing and it'll mix in. See you in a bit. Oh guys, so we're still mashing. I just want to go over a couple things real quick. So after the mashing process, we're going to go ahead and switch it over to the boil kettle and drain off all the wort from the mash tun to the boil kettle. We're going to use some of the water from the HLT to rinse the grains and get all of the sugary wort that we want into the boil kettle, so we get a good efficiency. We want to make sure we get all the sugar wort that we can possibly get. Now, when you boil, boiling, the main purpose of boiling, there's 5 reasons why we boil the wort. Now, the main purpose of boiling is to destroy any enzymes in the wort. The second thing is to sterilize the wort, and the third thing is to remove by evaporation certain undesirable aromatic components of the wort. And then number 4 is to extract the bittering and aromatic elements from the hops, and 5 is to clarify the wort by coagulating proteins and tannins. In some cases, especially with strong beers, concentrating the wort is also an important goal. Finally, boiling darkens the wort. Through this is an incidental rather than a deliberate aim of the brewer. So I read that out of a book that I've been reading. That's where, reading is how you get a lot of your information. So I study up on this because it's my hobby and I love to do it. So those are the reasons why we boil. And I just want to add that in real quick. These videos, I want to start implementing some educational things for brewing, so anybody watching can understand and do it for themselves. It's not extremely hard, but the better you want your beer, the more you're going to study on it, just like anything. Now, with making beer, you have all your processes and everybody does them differently. I've noticed that you have different ways of making beer as well. So the way I do it doesn't mean everybody has to do it this way, and you don't always need 3 vessels. You can actually, these days they actually have single vessel systems that you can use. This is what I went for. I like it, I enjoy it, it works great. And also, in this video, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them below, any comments, and anything you want me to talk about in any other videos, go ahead and please comment below. So still got some more time in the mash. When it's done, I'll bring you back when we're up to a boil, and we start adding some hops and some adjuncts. We'll see you then. Okay, so we're done mashing. I'm at the end. As you can see, it clears out. I don't know if you can really see that. It's dark, so it's hard to see, but I can definitely see it. How clear it has it that it. Excuse me. How clear that it has come from the beginning to the end. It was super cloudy. It looked like a milkshake, and now it just looks like really dark wort. So that's what you're going for at the end. So you want that grain bed to compress a little bit, to create a filter, and that's going to filter out all of the particulates in the mash. All of the grain. You want it all to create a filter, and then just keep going. And at the end of the mash, it should look pretty clear, and then you're good to go ahead and bring all your wort over to the boil kettle, so you can start your boil and your hop schedule and put in all your adjuncts. So I will see you in a couple seconds when we have all the wort into the boil kettle and mash, and have all the wort into the boil kettle, and we are boiling. Okay, so we have transferred over, and we got our boil going. Now we're going to add 1 ounce of German Magnum. And we'll let that go, and then in the last 10 minutes we will go ahead and start adding all our other adjuncts, and I'll bring you back then. Alright guys, see you then. We're adding our adjuncts right now. 1 pound of lactose, Okay, and then I'm going to add the chocolate. Right. That's all I'm going to do for that. So we added our lactose and the chocolate, which was, I believe, 11 ounces of chocolate. And we got about 10 minutes or so left. So I'm going to get the wort chiller in here and sanitize that for the last 10 minutes, and I'll see you when we pitch the yeast. Hey guys, so we're back. The wort's all cooled down, and the carboy, as you can see, this is what we're going to be pitching. It's WLP002 English Ale Yeast from White Labs. So I'm just going to cut that open and put that in there. Here's my sanitizer. Just going to spray the top. And then all right. Make sure we get all of it in there. That's it. I don't think there's anything else in there really. There's a little bit. There we go, got it. Alright. Alright. Our sand, and we're all set. Alright, well, we're going to put this in the fermentation chamber right here, which is my big fridge I have right here, and let it go ahead and start fermenting. And we'll bring you back with the tasting. So we'll see you then.